Welcome to Revive Ministries Podcast. This month, we're continuing the discussion on breaking free to healing. A lot of times I use quotes because people say better than myself. Actually, there's this person, Lady Aberdeen. I don't know if anyone knows about her. She was the first to address the House of Commons, first woman, and also with honorary degree in Canada. She says it this way. She says the difference between the difficult and the impossible is that the impossible takes a little more time, a little longer time. I'm kind of paraphrasing. Today we have a new guest. Her name is Dr. Nicckay Natson. I hope I'm not messing that up. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for just being part of the discussion. I really appreciate you being here.
Well, it's an honor to be here. I appreciate you for having me here. I don't take it lightly.
No problem. I always say a disclaimer in the beginning. If you're in the United States, they changed it up. 988 is now the suicide crisis lifeline. Is available for those in the United States. But I do encourage those around the world, wherever you are residing, to find what resources, because resources look different for each individual. That's the one complex thing about mental health. And when we're talking about this last month was PTSD, but just in general, overall stability is a holistic approach a lot of times. And sometimes resources can look different for each individual. So I encourage all those around the world to find what's out there in your communities and, reach out, connect. Communities really do matter. And I want to segue before I ask you a question. I know I brought a quote, but Helen Keller inspired me. She was the first deaf blind person to earn a bachelor's degree. She was a leading member of the American Foundation for the Blind, and she was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1964. She says it this way: although the world is full of suffering, it's full also of the overcoming of it. She was disabled. She had barriers when it comes to communicating, yet she communicates still to this day. I just want to ask you, Dr. Natson, what when you see this quote, what comes to mind to you?
Well, when you see a quote like that, although the world is full of suffering, yes, the world is full of suffering, but it is also full of overcoming. And what that is telling me is giving, God an opportunity to work a miracle. It's giving, an opportunity for the capacity of your faith to be increased. To, if there's suffering, if there's trial, there's pain, there's something that you're going through, that is giving God an opportunity to come into that situation, into that circumstance, and rescue you from your suffering. That's what that's saying to me, what she's saying. And she's saying that even though all these things is happening in the world, I'm not going to let it affect me. I'm going to be an overcomer. My name is going to be an overcomer, and I'm going to transform my life through the way I think, because it's all about the mindset and the way you think. Okay.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of times is journeying through those difficult moments, going a little deeper. Sometimes we like to stay on the surface. It's comfortable,
Right.
But a lot of times it's more complex. We have family context, we have our own personal context, we have environmental, relational. Everything matters. Everything's really sometimes a lot more connected than we like to presume. Could you share a little, Dr. Natson, could you share a little about yourself and what brought you to where you are today? I know that's a big question, but a lot of people don't know who, I have new guests. I'm very excited, but just could you share a little bit, those listening, watching, or whatnot, when this comes out, a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, again, I am Dr. Nicckay Natson, but born Nicckay Shante is what my name actually is. And I've been through so many different things in my life. I am a doctor by my professional trade that I do as a licensed clinical Christian psychologist. By trade, I have a doctoral degree in psychology. It's clinical counseling and psychology is what that degree actually is. And my profession is, like I said, a psychologist. I work with people from all different aspects of life. Trauma is one of the things that I specialize in. Inner healing is one of the things that I specialize in, and I love helping people to overcome their obstacles. I am a wife. I love being a wife. I'm a grandma. I am a mother, a spiritual mother. I'm an apostle in the faith, in the gospel of faith, a teacher where I'm a prophetic teacher. I'm also a prophet of God. We have several different things that we do. My husband and I, we have a ministry, works that we're doing, so many different things to advance the kingdom of God. And this is just a part of a little small aspect that God uses us to be able to do, the work for the kingdom, to help in the mental health field, in helping people. They call me the mind doctor because first is God, it starts with the mind, what I'm saying? We go from the mind and then we start working on the heart, different, especially when it comes down to inner healing. And what else about me? What you see is what you get. They call me fiery. What they call me. You know what I'm saying? So what you see is what you get. I'm never scared. You understand what I'm saying? I'm never scared. If the enemy tries to come for me, I'm gonna come for you. You understand what I'm saying? And when I was in the world, I was a fighter. God had to deliver me from the fighting spirit. So now in the spirit realm, I fight in the spirit. So another thing I'm a prayer warrior. I'm an intercessor. I'm a watchman, in the earth. And that's just a little bit about me and the different aspects. But there's so many aspects to me. I'm multifaceted, like God is multifaceted. So there's so many different aspects to who I am. We're serial entrepreneurs. It's not the only thing. We own a publishing company. We have TV, media. We have radio. So it's so many different things that we're doing to help expand the kingdom and as voices that's authorized in the earth in this hour.
I just, a lot of times when I'm, I came to the faith later on in my life, and one thing that I just want to share briefly to those listening, I said this a couple times, sometimes it's the simplest reasons that bring you there. And for me is, right now, a lot of people, COVID's still kind of there, annoyingly. And what does that bring? A lot of change. One thing I liked about, because I'm very, rational. There's a lot of reasons for me to kind of reason my way out of things, but at the same time, to change was a thing. The one thing I appreciate about faith, and this doesn't proselytize, but at the same time, encourage hope. I want to inspire hope to those listening, wherever you are. But one thing that helped me was, with everything changing, one thing that didn't change was God in my life.
Yes.
And that's one thing that, as basic as that is, that was enough for me, because a lot of times, I don't want, there's too many people like, I want so much change. Sometimes you don't want change because there's so much going on. So it's nice and comforting to have that one constant. There's this one word in Welsh, I always butcher it. It's hraith. I don't know. Homesickness for somewhere you cannot return to. The nostalgia and the grief for lost places of your past, places that never were. Sometimes, when you're dealing with trauma, you're dealing with things in your past, you have kind of a skewed view of what it may have happened. I've been through, so there's different modalities when it comes to trauma. I've been through EMDR myself, and for me, I've realized that a lot of things are more connected than I like to admit myself. But when it comes to this, it shows the complexity. You talk about church setting, it is vastly complex. You get someone in church, and people like to say, "Oh, church is not basic." Being a leader in church is really hard, because someone might be praising God because someone beat cancer, but then someone else who hasn't been talked to, who's just there in the congregation, lost their mother from cancer. So it's understand the complexity of the needs that are out there. But better than I do, in some facets, being a counselor one-on-one, some of those sessions must have been very intense, sometimes very exhausting. And I just want to ask you, and what has helped you with those who you work with in the moving past something that may have been negative, just in a general sense? Obviously I work in the field, discretion is key, but what has helped in the general sense? What did not help? What do you see?
Okay, in a general setting, with the majority of people that I deal with, the first thing is with dealing with them, the things that has helped them to move past a situation and not to stay bound in a situation is first forgiving themselves,
Mm,
and coming to grips with reality of
mm,
where the reality of where they really at, not having disassociating yourself from reality,
mm,
detaching yourself from reality, but
mm,
we need to deal with the reality of what's really going on. And this is what's really happening. And I give people the truth. I don't sugarcoat, you know what I'm saying?
mm,
And helping them face the truth and
mm,
understand, the truth of the situation. Because as long as you able and to be in a position in a place where you're able to receive truth, and then now when you receive it and you partner with truth, you understand
mm,
what I'm saying?
mm,
And now that's when the change can begin to happen and change can begin to come. And the things that I noticed that may not work, I can't, I can't say, because I guess, the way my methods and the tactics and the way I
yeah.
do things is, it always seems to work because I'm a person that's very loving and caring. You know what I'm
Mm,
saying? And the word of God says, with love and kindness have I drawn thee. And I try to, with the things that happen to me in my life, is first and foremost for my own experiences that I've been through, the trauma, the things, different things that I
mm,
experienced. Because at 5, I was molested by the janitor in the elementary school. At 13, I was raped, and even growing up through a home with my uncle that used to come in the house drunk, and he would always fight my grandmother, because I was raised by my grandmother. I was in foster care for 2 years. My mom was schizophrenic and she couldn't, raise me. So that's what kind of got me in
yeah.
this direction in the field that I'm in, right? And so I had to. That's what, when I was saying earlier that I was a fighter, that's why where the fighting came in at, trying
Yeah.
to, get my uncle off of my grandmother. And that
Mm,
was 2 years, and then I would get stomped down to the ground, experience so many different levels of trauma. And then even growing up, coming into the church, and the
mm,
church is supposed to be a place where you come, where you receive love, and the saints are supposed to love you. But instead of happening, I experienced what you call religious trauma. You understand
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yes.
With,
Yes.
different things happening within the church. And I was able to overcome, and because I know through the blood of Christ, He overcame. He conquered death, hell, grave, and
Mm,
Sheol, the underworld, and the pit. Because He overcame and took the keys, I got the
mm,
keys. You understand? I got the
yeah.
authority. So I help them understand. Listen, you got the authority. You understand what I'm saying? The
Mm,
authority is on the inside of you, and you just got to be able to tread upon, like the Word of God said. He made you to be able to tread upon every serpent. He put the authority over you. So you need to release those things from the past, because sometimes people have died and they gone on, and you still holding on to somebody, they dead. You understand what I'm saying? Them people going on about their business, and they got you locked up in a prison, and you need to be free. You know what I'm saying? And
mm,
then you're wasting years, you're wasting time, and time, energy, and effort on something, from your past, that happened in your past, that you still binding yourself to, and you're not trying to escape from the place that you're in. And you need to break free and come forth, so you can be all that God called you to be, because I want them to be the authentic them. Because when you're bound in a place like that, you're not authentically yourself. You understand
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I totally, I see where you're saying, because a lot of times, I'm not saying, sometimes we look at progress as meaning that we're doing well. Sometimes the best thing you do is just get up.
Right,
Sometimes,
right.
so, like, let's just be real here. We can't. I don't have these milestones, like these big steps. Sometimes you
Come
step
on now,
forward
brother.
like
Come on.
3 times and 3 steps, and you go back 5. But the point
Right,
is,
right,
I think
right,
what doesn't help, at least what I've seen, is ignoring it.
right, right,
That's it.
right.
I guess that's the only thing I could say with all
Yeah,
certain things.
yeah, yeah.
Besides that, like, that's like in the beginning I said, holistically, it's everyone's.
Or wait, I just thought one.
Yeah.
I just thought one. Not
Mm.
taking accountability.
Oh yeah. Accountability is only a bad word when you don't have a safe place, or you don't
Right,
try to give yourself boundaries to have
right,
a safe place.
right,
So I feel those things, and you hit it on the head. The boundaries was what I was going to go towards, because a lot of times we don't. Like, we
right.
notice this with COVID. Like we have no
Shoot, man, with
boundaries.
COVID, with COVID, man, I got such an increase with people with anxiety and all
Yeah,
this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wow, you know?
yeah. So I feel, boundaries, and a lot of times, those steps forward, even those little things. And I think a lot of times when we're looking at mental health, we're like, what has been better, and sometimes it's not so clear, you know,
Right.
like it's just talking and feeling safe, and you're gaining coping skills. You're realizing, hey, I have, you said, you know, you mentioned something, but I'm going to use it this version. You have choice. You have a
Right.
choice. A lot of
Right.
times we don't feel we have a choice, or we give our choices away to
Right.
something else.
Right.
So a lot of times, we talk about value a lot, but a lot of times it's
Right.
not very much valued.
Mm.
Value is a lot of times is not valued. It's just like, it's this chasing game, and I think what you shared, and what I'm hearing and what I've experienced working in the field too, is that when you're able to slow down and
Right.
forgive yourself and say, this is, and actually say, okay, and not just react to every single
Right.
event in your life. Say, give yourself a little bit of grace. You're going through it, but at the same time, not staying there, making actionable things and say, hey, I did this, I made this step forward, and then building on that. It's a
Right.
beautiful
Right.
thing, because the thing is, don't look to the left or the right of the pew. I used to
Right,
say this. I used
right,
to.
right. And you got and you
I,
gotta celebrate. You gotta even celebrate the little small things,
yeah,
because I have them even celebrating the little small things. Congratulate yourself. Yeah, let's have a party. You understand what I'm saying?
yeah,
And to encourage them, to motivate. Kind of motivational interviewing.
yeah, yeah.
Doing some different things like that. With mixing, of course, my great personality. Of course, into it. So it always works, and people always get free, because a part of my practice too is deliverance. They go through it's inner healing and deliverance that they go through,
Mm,
because some of them do. It's not, and that's another thing that I do too, bro. Is my kingdom brother is I help leaders in a fivefold to understand whether or not if it's deliverance or if it's the diagnosis. You
yeah, yeah,
understand?
yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
you may think that, okay, if this person come up to the altar and they say, oh, I want to commit suicide, and I pray, I can pray this away. No, no, bro,
No,
you
no,
can't
no,
do that. That's
no.
you
So,
know
some of the thing, is just like if your car needs a new
right,
transmission, you're not
right,
just gonna just say, I'm just gonna pray for a
right,
transmission. You
right.
just need a transmission. But at the same time, the community is so important. So like, a
Yes,
lot of times when I work with clients, if they are in a faith-based community, I encourage them to continue. A
yes,
lot of times, like, when because being a leader in the faith, I also ask, a lot of times it's just, how do they see God? Because a lot of times the way they see God is how they will treat each other, the
And
people
you
around.
better listen. Listen, you better talk. And you know what that is? That's a part of my inner healing too. It's called the Imago Dei. It's the God image, how they see God, really. And that's true. That's the model that you're using, whether you realize it or not. The God image, how they see the Father is really, like how sometimes how they see themselves, and that's how you can end up with trauma bonding and so many
Mm,
different things that happen.
yeah.
Because I mean, we can get real deep into this thing, but
Yeah.
because this is my subject, these are my areas. I love talking
Yeah.
about this stuff,
Yeah.
and then helping people, understand it,
Yeah.
teaching class, because I teach classes and so many different
Mm,
things as well, so they help people understand. But you're absolutely right. It's the God image, and the Imago Dei, the image of God is supposed to be sketched on us. That's messed up, because they can have arrested development. You understand what I'm
yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Brain
Yeah.
fixation, different things that happen from trauma, abandonment,
Mm,
rejection. The number one thing is rejection. The
yeah.
spirit of rejection that people are dealing with in abandonment is what they deal with, those issues. That's
Mm,
the big thing that I see with dealing with the faith-based community is
mm,
is rejection and
yeah.
abandonment.
Yeah, and one of the things is that we're speaking of the faith-based community. Sometimes it's you can feel it when it's just moved by fear, even though they'll say
Yes,
all the things, and they're it's just when your best church experience was 20 years ago, and that's it.
that's a
You know what I
problem.
mean? That's a problem. You know what I
That's
mean?
a problem. That's a problem.
So, Adam Braun says it this way: true self-discovery begins where your comfort zone ends. A lot of times it's uncomfortable.
Right.
I try to be. Sometimes I'm very busy going to work and doing all that. Sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go for a jog or something. I know it's gonna suck. I know it's gonna suck. But like, you already know in your mind. Like, sometimes if you're, and people will say, well, that's not the same thing that's the same thing mental health wise. And when you're thinking about, if you had a 10-year problem with family member or so, how do you feel that will be solved in 1 month? Like,
Right?
honestly,
It's not.
like it
It's not.
logically,
Listen.
logically.
It's not. It's not, because sometimes too, some of these things too, what I'm starting to discover with a lot of people is helping them to, because a part of the deliverance is breaking generational curses. Because
Mm.
sometimes a lot of that stuff is generational. It's been passed down from the generation, and it's got to be broken. But this right here, true self discovery, begins where your comfort zone ends. One thing is saying with the truth is you got to be true to your own self. When that's where the real true discovery come in at, is when you're true to yourself. You unlock something, you discover your identity and who you really are, and it takes you out of your comfort zone, is where it takes you. And it takes you into a place where there's no end for you, there's no limit. You understand what I'm saying? When you break free, because you keep yourself in bondage when you don't break free and you don't know your true identity and you don't discover your true self. Oh man, I'm deep. Listen, I'm deep. I'm telling you, brother, I'm deep. That's what they tell me. That's what they tell me.
A lot of times I also find that uncertainty is really a struggle for us, and it's funny because we have a lot of faith in like things we don't understand. It's like I go in a car, I don't know every single thing that works, or let's say a plane or whatever, but uncertainty, sometimes we're like, okay, I need to make sure I have every single detail covered, so nothing will happen bad. And like, sometimes I see this, especially when we're talking about faith-based communities, obviously this is more but you'll see a lot, you bring up, we want to maintain this. A lot of times maintaining, I feel, at least in some context, especially in the mental health field, or even in the faith-based field, from my experiences, it should be temporary. There always should be a vision forward. Maintaining is not a bad word, but if your whole goal is to maintain, you're just there. You're static. And I feel as individuals, we're trying to grow forward. And that sometimes is like Martin Luther King said, I'm going to paraphrase. It says, sometimes you don't see those full staircase, but take the first step. Sometimes they just want to stay at the step because the step is very nice.
I know you gotta make some kind of progress now. We want you to progress and move forward. Because we always talk about the process. There's it's a process. Everybody got to go through a process. It's different phases, different levels, different dynamics, dimensions that you go to. But some people might take 6 months to heal, and some people might take 3 months. Some people might take a year. And they go through whatever is their process, but it's their self-discovery of truth. And
I feel when they value themselves, and it's not just a funny word, then it doesn't matter how long it takes. It takes as long as it takes.
Right. And that's the thing you got to understand. You got to, because that's one of the things is I'd like to drive home is valuing yourself. Do you understand? Being authentic to yourself, because because I know at one point in my life, I didn't understand my value. So I know who I am. I know my value. I know what I bring to the table. And that's what I try to help them to understand. You got value. You add value to this world. You got to cross over. You know what I'm saying? I need you to survive. We need each other. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Imano. We need each other. You know what I'm saying? We need each other. We need each other to survive. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is. So you got to value yourself, because I value you. I value the thing that's on the inside of you, and I'm trying to help you unlock the hidden treasure that's on the inside of you. And that's what it is.
And one thing I've learned myself is that people appreciate to be appreciated in different ways, and I didn't understand this, because for me, I'm like I am the acts of service. I'm always about acts of service.
Oh, okay. Your love language. Your love language. You're acts of service. Yeah, that's what my husband is too. He's acts of service.
But like some people like to be told, you're doing a great job. And sometimes if I'm just locked in, just everyone's act of service. No, that's not true. I have to be like, hey.
I know. Listen, I like some gifts too now.
I like to know that I'm doing good. So like that's the dynamic of how different people can be. And I think communities like the faith-based communities is something that I that needs to be encouraged, and in a way that I feel like what we're talking about today, the dialogue just needs to keep happening. There's no 1+1. There's no solution, because it's going to be not static. We're not maintaining this. We're trying to grow forward, because what I'm saying right now may bring up a further thought. And my faith, and when I think about my faith journey, it has been the same way. The things that you continue to grow, and for me, I'm not going to be obstinate and say, oh, I know it all right now. No, I know what I've learned, and I know other people, and that's why this journey of dialoguing and sharing, continuing the talking about this stuff is so important to me. So that, because a lot of times you probably hear this, I don't feel heard. A lot of times people, maybe they make themselves, maybe don't have value or don't feel they have an avenue to be heard. I just like the idea that, to start continuing that dialogue as we try to keep pressing forward. I'm still learning. I know I am.
Right. Because I tell you, the things of advancing the mental health field and the outlook for clients, even being able to work with schizophrenia, being able to work with bipolar and different things like that, and the medication, the advancements and the things they got now, it's way better than what it was. What I'm saying? Than it used to be. So it is, mental health has come a long way from what I'm saying, from where it used to be. And so I can say that I can commend the mental health and the things that they're trying to do, but at the same time with mental health, what I don't like, because what caused me to come into and open up my own practice, what I didn't like, I had cases, and when it was time for people to be stepped down or come off the program, they wanted you to keep them on there. You know what I'm saying? They wanted you to continue to keep them on, and that's the part that I didn't like, because of know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's the part that I couldn't deal with. So I said, I want to be able to make a difference, and I can't make a difference this way.
I understand. Dr. Nicckay, it was wonderful to just dialogue with you. A lot of times I tell my guests, I feel like my podcast, I feel it's good going well because people want to come back. So don't be surprised if you get another email later on.
Okay.
To come back and to share your thoughts on another topic. But any final thoughts you want to share with those listening today as we wrap up today's as we wrap up talking about breaking free to healing? We talked about a lot of aspects, faith-based, just healing in general, and displaying how complex and how it's not just one way. and a lot of times, and it's also just like we kept saying, I think the focus was value is a lot of times not valued. So any final thoughts you want to share?
I guess I would say, if it was any final thoughts that I would share, and any advice that I would give is, make sure you take care of yourself. Self-care is so important, especially in this hour, for us to be able to take meal breaks. You know what I'm saying? If you need a meal health day, take a meal health day from your job. Take some time out to regroup. If your body is speaking to you and telling you something, you need to listen to your body. And it's self-care is very, very important, and it's a part of the self-discovery of who you are, going down that journey. And what I've learned to do in this season is to show up for me. Because I would show up for everybody else, but in this season of my life, I'm showing up for Nicckay. So that's what I would say. That's a part of you showing up for you. So taking care of you, taking time out, taking those breaks. Don't keep, spend time with family, enjoy life, have self-awareness, be aware, smell the roses, smell the flower, look up and notice the things around you, be aware, and actually take in and enjoy life, enjoy the things that you're blessed with, because tomorrow is not promised to none of us. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you enjoy life and show up for you.
Yeah. I've been also kind of saying lately, accountability is not a bad word when you're with the right people,
right?
You're in a safe place. Right. So it doesn't mean like not everything happens in one day. Sometimes it takes a little bit, but as me and Dr. Nicckay have been saying, you are valued. Those who are listening, it doesn't matter what you did, what happened, it happens. It matters today. And I think being present is a skill that I want to keep having. When I can talk to you, Dr. Nicckay, and it'll be, let's say 100 people, I'm just talking to you, you feel like you're the only person there. That is a skill that I feel I don't want to be lost among us, because communication is so key. And being present, especially in some of the darkest hours for those who are struggling,
Right.
sometimes that can make it. And it's not what you say a lot of times. It's just being present. I just want
Right,
to say,
right. There's hope, and there's hope. Listen, listen. There's hope. There's hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel, and a part of that change. You know, I just say be the change that you're looking for, and a part of that is showing up, just like you said, man of God, about the value, and that's a part showing up for you is understanding your value, understanding, and it's being able to break free because with everything that's in you, I'm not gonna hold on. You know, and that's me. You know, my philosophy, my thing, my motivation to keep me going, you know, and then it says it in your thing, Revive Ministries is revival. It's time for revival to break forth, you know, in people. And that's a part of valuing who you are for you to break free out of the place of, you know, out of the place of bondage, out of the place of darkness. If you're in a dark place, a dark space, you can see the light. There's light, you know. Revival is here, you know, revival is here.
Yes.
And we want you to know that you are valued. You're valued. There's, you know, that you're not forgotten. There is a God that will come and rescue you. And the rescue is there for you, and he's coming to rescue you. So you got to understand that, and you got to know that. And if you have an opportunity to listen to Lauren Deagle's song, Rescue, you all go and listen to that song, because God will rescue you. I love that song. That's one of my favorite songs.
I do like that
song. And he will rescue you in the darkness. He will rescue you. So I'm telling you, in the darkest hour, when you think that, you know, that you know, I'm got to throw in the towel, I'm gonna give up, I gotta give up, that's just when you can open your eyes and you can see that breath of fresh air that's coming back to you again, that's bringing life back, that's bringing hope back to you, and you will understand, and you will see, and you will look up. And then when you look up, I want you to remember this, because even in the Bible, when Moses will put up his staff, it was the snake was around. It's the medical symbol. He said he wanted him to look up and live. And I always want you to look up and live. And remember, living, when you look up, don't look down in a place where death and destruction and damnation and these things that's coming and these things that's happening to you. You said, no, I'm going to look up and I'm going to live. I'm coming out. I'm going to cross over. I'm going to have a clean crossover, and I'm coming out of the things that I'm coming out of, and I'm coming out. And then this is going to be my season. This is going to be my year, and I'm not giving up. I'm not throwing in the towel, and I'm coming. I'm running toward revival, because my name is going to be changed to overcomer. My name is going to be changed to value. My name is going to be changed to revival, because I am the revival. And if you're like me, if you know anything like me, I say I am the shift. I am the answer.
Yes, and I you know, like, to end with the beginning, you know, like Lady Aberdeen said, the difference between the difficult and the impossible is that the impossible takes a little bit longer.
Yes.
And I would say, just, you know, just to add what you already said, is that take the time to take care of yourself.
Yes.
Wherever you are, whatever, you know, it you know, during the steps might be small. They may just be getting up in the morning,
little baby, chiquito,
little, maybe not even, maybe just saying, it didn't work out today, let me try again tomorrow. And I just want to encourage you. Remember, it just changed, but I want to put it up there real quick. It's 988 new suicide crisis lifeline just came up on the 16th, I believe, this month. So I encourage you, if you are in crisis, to seek that out. And thank you again, Dr. Natson, for joining the discussion. I want to share with those who are listening, all updates on Revive Ministries on the platform, reviveministriesfl.com. It's on YouTube, on Anchor, all these different platforms. You can find them all on every episode on the website itself. This is goodbye from Revive Ministries Podcast, leaving you with this last quote. Great things never came from comfort zone. Neil Strauss.